Devin can write code, but also it can use all of the same tools that a human software.
It's an AI engineer.
We've been living in Minecraft survival mode for so long.
Okay.
And now we will be living in Minecraft creative mode.
Okay. And I really strongly believe this is really a game-changing technology from now. In year 2040,
Yeah.
what do you think the world will be like? Hello everyone. Today we have a very, very special guest in our office. Mr. Scott Wu, co-founder and CEO of Cognition. Welcome, Scott,
Yeah, thank you
to
so
our
much.
company.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
I'm happy to
Yeah.
be here.
Thank you for spending your precious time to visit us today.
Of course.
Yeah, he is, of course, very famous innovator of Devin software. I was really shocked when I saw and used Devin. It's so cute. I call it Deviko-chan. And, I asynchronously use 20 Deviko-chan in parallel.
Wow.
And I got so many creativity.
Yeah.
It's a really nice and amazing product. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. No, we also love to we love our Devins as well, and it's nice, I think, to have our own, basically little friend that helps with software.
Yeah,
engineering.
it works hard and very diligent, right?
Yeah. We have a long way to go.
Right.
A lot of progress.
Yeah.
To make.
First of all, please tell us about Devin. Yeah, could you briefly explain what Devin can do to the audience?
Yeah. So Devin is an AI software engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that Devin can write code, but also it can use all of the same tools that a human software engineer can use. And so, for example, it will be able to debug on its own. It can run shell commands. It can browse the web. It can read documentation. It can look up the logs. And it needs to do all of this, of course, because there really is so much more to software engineering than just writing code in a single file, right? And so Devin will, you will hand Devin a task for what you want it to do, and Devin will start working in parallel. And so, as you mentioned, you can work with several Devins at once. But Devin will work on it, in much the same way as a human engineer will. And you get to be your own manager of your own team of Devins.
Yeah, so the key thing is it's an AI engineer. It's like a human engineer.
Yeah.
And we can just tell her or he what to do, and he will do it asynchronously.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the idea. And I think as as time goes on and the capabilities get better and better, I think more and more of all of the work that we do will be in this form. And that's why we were really excited to build for this from the beginning.
Yeah. What is the key technology behind Devin to achieve this kind of automation?
Yeah. One thing that we often say is that I think a lot of companies in AI are focused on code. We are very focused
right there.
on coding. Yeah. And we are very focused on software engineering, which is a little bit different, right? And I think in the real world, software is very messy. And we've built Devin specifically for these use cases in big existing code bases, right? And commonly what you'll see is obviously that there are lots of, a massive code base with a lot of tickets and issues, and maybe there are upgrades and refactors and modernizations that you have to do. And handling those well requires a good iteration loop and a feedback loop. And so a lot of it is, teaching Devin how to use the tools to get to success. Right? And if you hand Devin a bug, for example, and say, please fix this bug, then Devin will go and try to reproduce the bug. It'll test by itself. It'll go and do that. And so I think in that way, it is, it's a bit of a different problem than solving for code specifically, right? Which is solving for almost all the planning and decision-making of being a software engineer.
So you're focusing on more difficult type of problems, right?
A different category, I would say. Yeah,
okay.
For sure.
Yeah, and I really strongly believe this is really a game-changing technology. Yeah. So I really would like to know how Devin was born at the very beginning. Yeah, you created Cognition as a company, and then start developing Devin, right?
Yeah.
And which one was first? You thought about Devin and created your company, or vice versa?
So Cognition was first, and we started around late 2023.
Okay.
So it would have been about 1.5 years ago. And when we started, we had two particular views. And the first view was that RL was really going to work, reinforcement learning, and it was going to allow much more powerful capabilities.
Yeah.
And the second one was that the form factor of these products was going to change from a co-pilot to an agent, right? And that being able to interact with feedback is very valuable.
Becoming AI agent.
And you know, we are all of us who started the company, we're all programmers, we're all engineers ourselves, and we've also spent a lot of time in AI. And so teaching AI how to program was probably the coolest thing that we could imagine doing. And so we were always very excited. And so from the very beginning, it was always AI, it was always coding, and it was always an agentic loop. But obviously there's still a lot of details that ended up making Devin. And those details we figured out over the first couple months. You know, at the beginning, it was much more of a research kind of effort of solving these kind of like programming problems basically with an agentic loop. And I remember a very particular moment that we were building an early version of this, and we needed to set up, you know, MongoDB, for example, to go do it. And we tried to set it up, and you know how it is. Sometimes these systems, you run into errors, and you don't know what's going on. And we spent some time on it, and we weren't sure what was going on. So then we asked our agent, please, could you fix this MongoDB? And it did, and it worked.
Wow.
And that was the first moment where we were like, wow, this is actually, and so from there, a lot of our time was really spent solving, like we said, the practical problems in software engineering. So that's part of what led us down the path here.
I see. Okay. You do a lot of research work for example, post-training or something like that?
Yeah. So we do post-training on the models.
Okay.
We work very closely with all the foundation labs.
I see. Okay. Wow, that's great. Right now, I think it's still, Devin is great, but it's still just the beginning, right?
Yes.
So how far has Devin been able to achieve your future goal?
I think,
how many percent? Like?
Oh, I mean, I think we're like 0.1%. Very, very early, yeah.
Wow.
And I think, yeah, you know, the way we describe it to people today is Devin is a junior engineer. And so, you know, you can hand Devin a clearly defined task, and Devin will go and handle that and can do that. But you want to be able to review the work yourself. You want to be able to break down the task to the right level of complexity. I think as time goes on, obviously we want to make Devin a more and more senior engineer on the team, and make it so that Devin can do a lot more.
So the Devin becomes a more senior or maybe manager type things?
Yeah, you know, I think it's kind of funny to think about, but I wonder if maybe we should do a performance review for Devin. You know, it's like, all right, you were very, you know, your enthusiasm was very strong, you know, your number of commits is very, you know, and then here's where you could be better. You know, we want you to be better at the system level trade-offs. We need you to, you know, to be more proactive sometimes, or things like that, and then we figure out how to solve for each of those capabilities. But that's that's honestly how a lot of how we think about it today.
Maybe someday, you know, Devin is going to call me, and then they will evaluate me, right?
Yeah. Devin will call you and say, "Oh, I have a new idea. We need to build this right now."
So what is the future of software engineering in that case?
Yeah, you know, I think programming, we were talking about this earlier, but I think I love to study the history of software engineering. You know, there are a lot of great books on the history of programming and software engineering and technology. And the thing that always stands out is how at each generation, the technology we have, it really is basically taking the technology that we have and figuring out how humans can use that to the largest extent possible, right? And so the very early systems with programming were actually punch cards, right?
Yeah.
And one of the first big use cases for punch cards was the census, you know, the US population census, that we'd use the punch cards to collect all this information. And it's a very simple program, right? But it was kind of, that was the use case that made sense.
I knew that.
Yeah.
Fortran.
Fortran, right? Fortran. Yeah, and then there's a lot of these other systems, you know, there were these systems for laboratories, right? And, you know, when the Macintosh first came out in the 70s, the first use case that was really big was the spreadsheet, right? And the spreadsheet obviously allowed a lot of work financial analysis or data or things like that. Sorry, and I think that what you see over the history of programming is that software engineering really is just telling your computer what to do.
Right.
The problem definition is very clear. You need to know exactly what you want. You need to make the decisions and the trade-offs and to decide, here's what I want to build, here's the solution that I want, here's the architecture I want. And then software engineering is taking that and telling that to the computer and having the computer do that, right? And I think over time, since then we've had assembly and COBOL and C and then Java and then Python and whatever. So we've come a long way from the punch cards. But I think the ideal you want to really get to is to get to a point where you can really just tell your computer, here's what I want. I need to do this, this, and this. And we need to make sure, that the database is stored that way. And let's make sure to, save the user's queries here. And let's, add a new button on our page here that does this. And you want to be able to just tell your computer that and have it do that. And I think that's really the future of software engineering that we're getting closer and closer to.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, please tell us more about the future of AI agents.
Yeah,
including Devin. There will be so many, AI agents on this planet, right?
Yeah.
So what's your, really the vision of the future?
I think the fun thing for humans is, it will always be our job to decide what to do.
Yeah.
And what to build,
True.
right? And I think if you think about a computer itself, the whole point of the computer is to allow you to execute what you want to do. And I think of AI and the progress that we're making as the next logical step there. I think we will get into a very creative future, basically, where you can just say, okay, I have an idea. Let's do this, 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 this. And then it will become reality, basically. And there's a lot of steps on the way there, obviously, but I think in practice for AI agents, it just means that we will have much cleaner and much smarter surfaces to actually interact with our computers. And so, people love to talk about the example of every time you want to book a flight now, you'll just tell your own personal agent, okay, I need a flight from this to this, and then it'll go and take care of that for you, right? But obviously, broadly, I think all of the I don't know, but so many of the things that we do day to day, really do fall under this category, right? And so maybe, today I'll give a few examples. I was looking through, 10 LinkedIn profiles today to look for some particular things that I wanted to find or to see if somebody could be a good candidate for Cognition. Right. And I think that's the kind of thing, obviously, that I would love to have an agent help me with, right? Or I was, figuring out, funnily enough, and since we're here in Tokyo, I was figuring out basically practically how to get some reservations set up because I can't speak Japanese myself, and naturally that would be great to have an agent do that for me. Right. And so I think code is for a few reasons is kind of the first big one, but I think we will see agents everywhere that really just help us go and build the things that we want to build.
In that case, what do you think humans should do? Let the agent do the work.
Yeah.
And we can, go hiking, maybe.
I think there will still be so much to do, and I think it will be this creative future. My co-founder actually talks about this, Walden. My favorite line from him is he says, we've been living in Minecraft survival mode for so long. Okay. And now we will be living in Minecraft creative mode.
Okay.
And, I really like that idea that, you can say, okay, I want this to appear, and then suddenly it will appear in front of you, right? I think there will be a point, and this is, I think it is going to take a long time, of course. But I think getting to a point where you really can just have your idea for what you want to happen and just make it happen. And I think the fun thing is, I don't think that humans will run out of things to do there because I think as humans, we have lots of ideas for what we want to do.
Yeah, we'd like to do more.
And you see this throughout everything, right? I mean, even in art or in sports or in people's life work, right? I think it is not just the pure execution of the work that we enjoy, but it's actually, there's an important part of basically the self-expression and about being able to build all of these ideas into reality.
And we never get bored, right?
Yeah. So I think we'll have a lot more ideas. I think it'll be. I'm very excited for the post-agent world.
Yeah, me too. So say, 15 years from now, in year 2040,
Yeah.
what do you think the world will be like?
Yeah. I think that the best example I can give is I think about people from 2,000 years ago and what they probably think of you and me just talking right now. It'd be funny to imagine somebody who's just a farmer and who's just working all day in the fields, a lot of very hard labor just to make enough food to eat, right? And to see us and say, wow, you think this is work? And I think in many ways, I think we're already very fortunate to be able to do what we do now because of technology and because of automation. And I almost think that the future that we'll be in 15 years or 20 years or 30 years is it will be that different from us now, actually.
True.
We will look at them and they are just pursuing their own passions and their self-expression and building building things of meaning and building experiences that turning their ideas into reality. And we'll look at that and we'll say, wow, you call that work, and I think that is what we'll get to see.
Yeah, it's exciting. Okay.